Hello, and welcome to another two-part video, this time centring on the historic village of Swarkestone, just south of Derby. The second part will be another walk, starting out from here. But first, we'll take a look at Swarkestone from the air and then on foot. Three major events define Swarkestone's history, and we'll look at them all in turn. The first relates to Swarkestone Bridge. There has been a bridge over the River Trent at Swarkestone since at least the time of King John, as it is mentioned in Derby's Charter of 1204, and there's likely been a crossing of some description from long before then. Until the 18th century, this was the only crossing of the Trent between Burton and Nottingham, making it an exceptionally important trading route. The causeway has 17 arches, 6 of which remain totally unaltered since medieval times, and is a later addition dating from around 1400. According to legend, the causeway was built by two noble sisters of the Bellamont family. Each were betrothed to a pair of knights who, during the engagement party, it is said, were called away to a meeting of the barons. Meanwhile, heavy rain caused the river to flood the washland between Swarkestone and Stanton. The returning knights urged their horses into the swollen water but perished as the sisters looked on. Devastated by their loss, the sisters decided to have the causeway built, costing them their fortune. Unable to forget their lost lovers, they died as spinsters. The current sandstone bridge dates from December 1795, its predecessor having been washed away in floods, and is credited to Thomas Sykes, the county surveyor of Derbyshire. Though inevitably much repaired and occasionally widened, a bit, in its 600 years or so, the causeway is designated an ancient monument and the bridge has a Grade 1 listing. In January 1643, Swarkestone Bridge was the location of a battle during the English Civil War, but this was overshadowed by the events of 1745. The crossing at Swarkestone marks the southernmost point of Bonnie Prince Charlie's advance towards London in his attempt to claim back the British crown for the House of Stuart. An advance party of Highlanders met government troops sent from the south with orders to destroy the bridge if need be. Finding no evidence of support from the south, Charles Edward Stuart turned back to Scotland, eventually being defeated at the Battle of Culloden. Before we continue with the village's history, let's quickly orient ourselves with the geography. Bisected by the busy road leading to the bridge with the well-known pub, the Crew and Harper, there are two halves to the village. West of the main road is largely modern housing with some delightful early cottages mixed in. The original hamlet is clustered around the church of St James and a handful of farms. Lying to the east of the village are the ruins of the lost Tudor mansion of Swarkestone Hall and its 17th century replacement. This was home to Sir Richard Harper, who was Chief Justice to Kings Henry VIII, Edward VI and Queens Mary and Elizabeth. That he lived to the ripe old age of 62 in those volatile times meant he was doing something very well. St James's Church, as you might expect given its proximity to the old hall, contains exquisite alabaster memorials to the Harper family. Though a church has been on this site since the 12th century, the tower, which dates from the 14th century, is the oldest surviving part of the building, which is Grade 2 star listed. We'll be seeing more of St James's when we walk around the village in just a few moments. The second major event, and arguably the one which has shaped the village over the longest period of time, was the building of the Trent and Mersey Canal, just 25 years after Bonnie Prince Charlie and his followers had left. It opened throughout in 1777, and although the canal was also known as the Grand Trunk Canal, its more colloquial name underscores its importance in linking the navigable rivers flowing out to the east and west coasts, thereby linking Hull and Liverpool. The Trent and Mersey was joined at Swarkestone by the new Derby Canal in June 1796. Even though the existing cut fed into the River Trent at Shardlow, as the river was also navigable at this time as far upstream as Burton, the Derby Canal Company decided to build a connection, 3 furlongs in length, with the Trent at Swarkestone. Requiring 4 locks and never really generating any traffic, it was abandoned less than 50 years after it was built. The line of this north to south link can still be seen today, crossing to the west of the cricket ground and with a very discernible hump in the road where a bridge presumably lies buried underneath. Our chronology fast forwards to the 20th century for the third major event which defines Swarkestone, at least within a niche of global pop culture. This was a photo shoot in 1968. Michael Joseph, a renowned photographer, somehow persuaded the already world-famous Rolling Stones to make the trip to South Derbyshire in a convoy of limos. This was in order to shoot the cover art for their Beggar's Banquet album. He posed the band in various compositions on and around the then derelict pavilion of Swarkestone Hall. One shot even has the band playing cricket in the cow pasture surrounding the folly. It's reported that they even had lunch in the Crewe and Harper. For obvious reasons of copyright, prints fetching upwards of $3,000 today, I won't include any of the iconic images here, but there's a link in the description to a fine art website which considers the shoot to be amongst the best photographs ever taken of the band. Happily, the pavilion was acquired by the Landmark Trust in 1985 and has been restored as a beautiful holiday let. If you're interested in spending a night or more in this quaint piece of rock and roll history, there's a link in the description. Swarkestone has an active and highly regarded cricket club, fielding 3 adult sides as well as juniors. Their ground is distinctive, being located in the middle of a cornfield, and is known as Barrow Turn. Let's watch some of the action at a recent match. Anyone viewing this from a non-cricketing nation is entitled to be bewildered. It is cricket after all. That's it for the aerial views of the village. Let's go and have a look at ground level now, starting from Swarkestone Nursery. We're standing in Lowes Lane and need to cross the busy A5132 road that goes to Willington to get to Woodshop Lane on the other side. We'll need to pause here a little while until it's safe. Most of the properties on Woodshop Lane are fairly modern. The old houses that are here no doubt sprang up with the coming of the canal. Where we're walking now is where the canal link passed underneath and flowed out into the River Trent. Avoiding the temptation of the Crewe and Harper and its delightful riverside beer garden, we're now safely on the east side of the main road and we'll turn our attention to Trent side. Trent side for a moment. We've now reached St James's Church, which at the time of my ground visit was receiving some attention to its graveyard from some local people. We've left Church Lane and reached the main road again, looking back towards the village and passing the cottage filling station as we arrive at the junction with Barrow Lane and the Crewe and Harper pub in front of us. Retracing our steps just a little, we're back at Barrow Lane and the cricket ground over the road. We're going to walk back along to the junction with Lowes Lane and return to the nursery. That's it. Thank you ever so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this tour of Swarkestone. It's a lovely village with a lot of history. Part 2 is coming up, which will be a walk starting where you're looking at now, parallel to the causeway, across to Stanton by bridge and along the old Packhorse Trail to Kings Newton, looping back round along the old railway through the grounds of the hall and back to Swarkestone. 5.5 miles. I hope you will enjoy it. Thank you, bye.